G'day team, I hope you've all been well. I am just up in sunny Rainbow, unloading after yet another adventure in this truck of mine. And look, it's been 2 years since I bought the truck, and I've done a lot of work to it, and I've done a lot of trips in it, and I just thought I'd do this. So far I've done just over 30,000 kilometers in the truck since owning it. So I thought I would do a quick review and just talk about all the things that are great in the truck, all the things that are not so great in the truck, things that I've learned along the way, things I would do differently. So here goes, here's that video. So, okay, if this is the first video you've watched of mine, look, my name's Benji Brunden, and I just love traveling, and I love doing a heap of adventure. It's something that I'm really passionate about. So I needed, a few years ago, I decided I wanted to buy and build a truck that was capable of traveling incredibly long distances into incredibly remote areas, and I wanted to be able to do that confidently, and not only be able to have that ability, but be able to work on the vehicle and take other people with me on expeditions. And so I got looking. I looked at old fire trucks. Obviously, I looked at newer vehicles, but the price tag on a new 79 series or a you know, like an Isuzu MP5, NPS, or whatever they are, they're just plus $150,000. So what I decided to buy, and what I ended up landing on, was this 1989 Land Rover ex-Army 6-wheel drive Land Rover Perentie. Now, if you're watching this video, maybe you're familiar with these trucks, but there's actually a whole video on YouTube that was made by the Australian Army, and it talks about these trucks, the requirements they needed to fulfill their job in the Australian Army, what they what their capabilities were, and what they were used on deployments with, and how they went through this really rigorous testing process between Jeep, Land Rover, and who was the other? I think it was Mercedes. It was Mercedes, between the three major car and vehicle manufacturers in the early 80s and early 90s, and obviously Land Rover, after 18 months or 2 years of testing, Land Rover won that tender to build them. So there was only 600 of these ever made, and there's different configurations. There was a long-range patrol vehicle, ambulance, mobile workshops. Mine in particular was a cargo truck, and it was built to transport cargo and personnel, you know, from A to B. So I'll put some photos in this video as well, so you can see what it looked like when I first got it. And obviously I'll put a link for that YouTube video in the description, so you can see the history of these trucks. But they're really built and designed for a purpose of basically traversing incredibly rugged terrain for incredibly long distances. So this was the perfect truck for me. So in the 2 years I've owned it, look, I spent a fair bit of time building it, but I've taken it through the high country in Victoria. I've done hundreds of river crossings. I've taken it and field tested it across Big Desert in Victoria, which is arguably a lot more technical than the Simpson Desert, which I've also taken it across the Simpson Desert. There's been a dozen outback tracks I've also taken it through, obviously Central Australia. Recently we took it on a trip across the Nullarbor, and we drove down the cliffs at the western end of the Nullarbor to the lower cliffs there. I've taken it along the beaches of South Australia, Esperance, Lucky Bay. We've taken it through some of the deep south of Western Australia. We've taken it into some really incredibly remote places. Just now I've spent the last 4.5 weeks basically living out of it while I've been doing all that travel with my partner. And I tell you, this truck has just it's just been unstoppable. So I have really tested it and put it through its paces. I've tested the winch capabilities, I've tested its four-wheel drive capabilities. So it just, hands down, from a performance point of view, it just absolutely delivers in spades. So what is good about this truck? So the capabilities which I've spoken about, obviously you've got 3 driving diffs, or it's got 4 diffs including the center diff, but there's 3 driving axles on this truck. So really, even the steepest sand dunes where I've seen other 4-wheel drives get bogged or have to take a second go at it, this thing just crawls up it. You have to also remember that although it kind of looks like a 4-wheel drive, it's a heavy rigid truck. So it doesn't have that high-end turbocharged poke that that newer 4-wheel drives have. But instead, it just has that ability to crawl up anything really slowly. The other thing that's great about it is it's a real simple design. I mean, first of all, it's an army truck, so there's no real creature comforts in it, which I'll talk about in a minute. But even the electric system is really simple. I mean, you literally have an ignition, a starter motor, a switch to a set of lights, and a reversing light. You can see even in the truck here, it has all the information you need. You know, what they're delivered. So this is a 1989 model, manufacturer, electrical system, 12 volt negative to earth system. It tells you all this other stuff about the truck. So there's little signs all over the truck. So you have to remember that these vehicles were made for soldiers and personnel to take. So all the information needed to be at hand, ready to be inspected. So the electrical system is really simple to work on. I mean, I'm no auto electrician, but I've been able to find a few faults on this truck and fix them on the run simply just by working out, like I said, that earth to negative system. It's really simple. The other thing that's great about this truck is that it's longer, not wider. So there's been a few trips I've been on where we've had a Zetros and different a Unimog, which are a much wider wheelbase. And on really tight tracks, those wheels tend to sit and just scrub into the bushes. And, you know, one trip across the Simpson, one of the Zetros or Unimogs got 3 or 4 flat tires from getting debris. Whereas this truck has a wheelbase similar to that of a Land Cruiser or a Patrol. So, touch wood, so far, 30,000 Ks, I still haven't had a single flat. So one of the other things that's great about it, obviously, is it's just so basic. It's so basic. It's literally a motor and a body and very basic electrics. So if you have a basic mechanical knowledge, you can fix this thing on the fly. But also because it's a military vehicle, basically the military, it's a piece of kit. It's a piece of equipment. It's a piece of working equipment. So it's like having the instructions for a drill press in a factory. These trucks come with complete manuals. So this one is the technical manual user handbook. There's 4 of these. There's another medium repair handbook, light repair handbook, and there's a heavy repair handbook as well. Now those have become invaluable because I actually took the liberty of printing those out, laminating the whole lot, and keep those in the truck, and they just go with the truck everywhere. And I have been, once upon a time, found myself having a problem with the diff, and you know, late at night reading the manuals, learning how to disassemble the center diff assembly. Again, it's not an ideal situation you want to be in, but when you are in that situation, you'd be very grateful you've got those manuals to read up on. So that's another great thing about the truck. So look, from a capability standpoint, you know, I can't tell you again how impressed I am with it. So there is just, yeah, it's just a go anywhere, do anything truck. Okay, so, and look, I just want to talk about the truck in general, not the actual, I mean, obviously put on all the additions again myself, like extra water tanks, the canopy on the rear, and all that stuff you can look at in another video. I just wanted to talk today about the basic mechanics of the truck. So, some of the things that are bad about the truck. Okay, so it is incredibly noisy to drive. So basically what you got to understand is when you're buying one of these trucks, you're buying an incredibly strong and durable motor, which is an Isuzu 4BD1 3.9 litre turbo diesel. built on an incredibly strong chassis, which has been hot gal dipped, so it'll never rust. An incredibly strong motor on an incredibly strong body, with an incredibly corrosion resistant body, and that's it. Motor, chassis, body. So the Army obviously needed something that was going to work. Now they've done no work on soundproofing the cabin. So when you're humming along, you've got the sound of the tires buzzing along on the road. You've got the sound of the motor just drumming through the firewall. And it is quite noisy. So I've actually, on those longer trips, I just wear earmuffs. And one of the things that's on my to-do list is to actually, soundproof the cabin. And that's been on the to-do list. Again, I wanted to make the truck capable first, comfortable second. So once I've finished sort of the capability part of it, I'll make it more comfortable by adding soundproofing matting, maybe some rubber mats and some marine carpet. And that should definitely help with the soundproofing. So you'll need to do that. Look, again, one of the things that I have done, which obviously this is a learning curve for me, is I've actually blown 2 rear prop shafts on this. And that was because, look, these trucks were designed to go low speed, carry cargo, whereas in today's modern world, I've been doing trips, up to 90, 100k an hour, just hammering down the highway, and the rear axle has an up and over knuckle on the rear prop shaft. So one of the things I learned, which I've also made a video on, is fitting freewheeling hubs to the rear. So the first thing I would do when I bought one of these trucks is fit the freewheeling hubs, and the second thing I'd do is change the seals in those so they don't leak. They're an AVM 446, I think, is the freewheeling hub. So if you're thinking about buying one of these trucks, that's one of the top modifications I would do first. Turning circle's not that great. Obviously, again, the Army, this is not going to get around your school roundabout. Excuse me. And it's probably not going to be the best sort of drop the kids off at school kind of truck, although I think one day the kids will think it's pretty cool. And so the turning circle is like 17 meters or something like that. Again, if you want to know all the specific specs, you can just look into the manuals, and it'll tell you everything you need to know about the truck. It's a 3.5 ton truck. It's got a 2 ton payload. Again, everything's well and truly over-engineered. The springs on the back alone have got a 4 ton payload, and even though it's got a 2 ton towing capacity, the pintle hitch on the back is rated to 4.5 ton. And I think the Army, someone explained it to me, they put limitations on what you can take, because they know that if something happens in the field and your mate's truck breaks down next to him, you need to be able to take all of their cargo and just throw it on your truck and still keep moving forward. So everything is over-engineered. Everything is built over the top. I mean, you just look at the thickness of the steel and the chassis rails and how many, I think there's 11 or 12 leaf springs on the axles. This thing is just solid as the rock of Gibraltar. Fuel economy. So fuel economy, even again, in the user handbooks, it says 20 litres per 100 and up to 27 litres per 100 in cross-country mode, which is, or in deep sand. And that's pretty much spot on. So if I'm just cruising, about 90k an hour, down the freeway, one jerry can is 100 litres, whereas across the Simpson Desert, we're about 27, 28 litres per 100, and that was with a fully loaded truck, probably 5 or 6 ton of gear on the back of this thing. And again, if you're interested in more about that, you can see that video. Some of my other videos, the Simpson Desert trip was a real hit out for this truck. So what would I change in the truck? Was there anything else bad about the truck? No, look, the fact that, I just love the simplicity of it. Like, you've got manual winding windows. If you want to adjust the mirrors, you got to move them with your hands. You got to lock the doors with your hands. It's got power steering, but that's about as luxurious as it gets. Like, these trucks are just bones basic, but they are bulletproof in that sense. So that's what I love about it. And again, what's bad about them? Look, I really can't fault them. What would I change? So, if I had my time again, and this sounds like a bit of a plug here, but when I bought this truck, again, I didn't know much about these trucks, and I didn't know much about them mechanically. So there was a few problems I had in the beginning which could have been easily avoided if I just took it to the experts first and straight away. Now, sadly, when I did get the truck, I took it to someone who told me they were an expert, and I believed him, obviously, because he owned one of these trucks, and that guy ended up being a complete dropkick. So a valuable lesson was learnt there. But so now I've had some issues on the road in this truck, and I have made phone calls to a company called KLR. KLR, they're a Land Rover specialist based in South Windsor in New South Wales. And I've actually never met these guys, and I've never actually really done business with them, but they've been more than happy to help me with any problem I've had, whether it just be a question about how much this weighs, what does that take, what should I do here, any kind of general query I've had. Oh, that's right, my fuel changeover valve went one day and I just didn't know what the fuck was going on. So, that was a very simple thing. And those guys have basically talked me through step by step how to repair something or how to troubleshoot a problem. And they've been very knowledgeable in their, they're very passionate about Land Rovers. They're very passionate about their craft. So they know everything about these trucks inside and out. So if I was going to change anything, the first thing I would have done was taken it to a Land Rover specialist. Because you've got to understand, yes, it's an incredibly durable motor. It's an incredibly durable truck and chassis. But a lot of these trucks, this one's 35 years old, and they've been sitting for a long time in a warehouse, or even on an army base, in an airplane hangar, doing nothing for a long time. So, for example, this one now, I've done 30,000 Ks on it. The power steering, the seal on the back of the power steering pump is just kind of starting to get brittle, and I'm leaking a bit of power steering fluid. Not only that, but some of the bushes look a little bit the rubber bushes are looking a little bit crusty. Just little things like that, and that's just all old wear. That's to be expected with an old vehicle. So what I'm doing now is, once I've finished unloading all my gear, putting it in the shipping container and getting it back on the road, I'm going to be taking this thing straight up to KLR for some real Land Rover love. Because, it's like I said, it's 35 years old. It's done its time in the army, and I've certainly put it through its paces the last 2 years. So I'm really looking forward, actually, to getting it up there and letting these guys put a professional eye over the whole thing and give it a full birthday. What else would I change in this truck? Well, I changed the headlights, obviously, because all the headlights were analog, so they weren't very bright. The high beam was just absolutely atrocious. So I've already put new headlights in the front and LED lights in the back. Obviously, I put the freewheeling hubs in. But aside from that, and changing the oil and giving it a service, maxi flanges. I put maxi flanges on the on all the ends of the axles. You can see those in some of my other videos. But this truck is, as far as an operational, from taking it into really remote areas, it's ready to go. And look, there's obviously, I've put a lot of additions on this truck as well. Look, the canopy, the water, the pump, the electrics, all that. That's all. I'll talk about all that in a different video. I just wanted to talk about the truck, the basics of this truck, and if you're thinking about buying one, some of the things to look out for, and some of the things to consider when you do buy one, or if you want to buy one. The other thing I would change also is it's got the fuel economy is 20 litres per 100, but it's got two 60-litre tanks on board. So basically, you get about a 600k range on two full tanks. Now, there's still heaps of room around those tanks. So if I was going to have my wish list of modifications, not only would I put a bigger turbo, a thicker exhaust, or a 3-inch exhaust, a snorkel. But one of the other things I would do if I had my endless wish list is I would put bigger fuel tanks, because you can probably get in the cavity where they've got two 60-litre fuel tanks, you could probably get two 100-litre fuel tanks quite easily. And that's one of my wish list mods I would do. But look, so final thoughts on this truck. Would I recommend these trucks? Absolutely. If you want to do long distance off-grid sort of travel, then these trucks are unstoppable. However, you do have to understand that you're buying them for about $30,000, give or take, from the auctions, $25,000-$30,000. I think realistically, if I was smart, I would have spent that $30,000 buying it from the auction, and then I would have taken it straight to KLR, spent the money changing the seals, changing the bushes, checking the axles, checking the brakes. Again, like the brake drums are all, or the brake lines are 35 years old. Just all that stuff, and I would probably spend another $20,000 making it incredibly mechanically A1, and then probably spend a little bit more money doing the cabin, the interior, the soundproofing, all that fun stuff, if I was going to do it again. So, but my final thoughts really are, yes, this truck is an absolute winner when it comes to off-road travel. And they're actually always going up in value. Every time I see the auctions every month now, they're becoming more and more expensive to buy, because there is only a limited supply of them. There's only over 600 made. So they're actually becoming quite a collector's item. I certainly won't ever sell mine, ever. And if you're keen to get into these, to start to buy one of these trucks and to start operating one of them, then it pays to have a bit of mechanical knowledge, but you can just work on them anywhere, and that's the beauty of them, because things always go wrong. It doesn't matter if you run a brand new Ford Ranger or a brand new Toyota Land Cruiser or something like that. Things always go wrong. It's always good to be able to work on your vehicles and get you out of trouble. If you have any questions about anything I've spoken about, let me know in the comments. But now I'm just going to finish up this video. I've actually been on the road mentally for quite a long time now. So I'm going to unload this whole truck. I'm going to drive it up to New South Wales. It's going to get that birthday up at KLR. These guys up there are fully booked out until Christmas. So it's going to sit in their yard for maybe 3 to 6 months. And I'm totally okay with that, because there are all these other areas of my life that I've been neglecting while I've been going on these mad adventures. So I'm actually looking forward to parking the truck for a while and putting some energy into some other areas of my life, because I've got a few new adventures brewing at the moment. So I'm just really grateful. I'm really grateful that this truck came into my life at the time that it did, and I'm really grateful for all the places it's taken me and all the lessons I've learned along the way. And I'm actually stoked with this truck and its capability and what it's been able to do, and the places it's been able to take me and other friends of mine on motorbike trips and all sorts of stuff. So those are my final thoughts. And I would suggest to you, if you're thinking about buying one, well then strap in, because they'll take you anywhere you want, but it's going to be one hell of a ride. So thanks for watching this video, guys. I really am grateful for not only putting this video together, the truck, but also all the audience, everyone that's followed this journey with me, who's given me advice, who's given me their opinions in all the forums, the Facebook groups, Land Rover Perentes, the guys at KLR, everyone that sort of got behind me on these adventures and sort of supported me to make these dreams come true. I'm incredibly grateful for all of your support, all of your feedback, and just all of your all of your ongoing encouragement, because it has been a real journey. All right, guys, thanks again. I'm grateful for you all, and I hope you guys have a great day. Remember, life really is a daring adventure. Cheers, guys.